This is the If More Let's Divide podcast.
Yo, guys, Charlie, what happened? Welcome to the If More Let's Divide podcast with my shiny skin, thanks to shea butter. And, Charlie Fred, you use shea butter?
I try them, but
Hey, Charlie, you be bougie, you don't use.
I they use
Are you serious?
I they use them, but the foreign one we didn't bottle them.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Wow.
Yeah, my friend actually makes shea butter. She shouldn't be listening to this, but
I do my own.
yeah.
I buy the raw and then I mix it up with like coconut oil and
Yeah, that's crazy.
I use some degree of it. I don't mind
Yeah.
it. It's
But-
convenience.
Did you see what just happened?
Yes, let's keep going.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the flow.
Charlie, but yeah, the conversation has already started. And
Yep.
so, Charlie, but just to follow the protocol, shouts to Atuno the guitar, shouts to Mark, shouts to all our listeners, viewers, subscribers, and those who are telling their grandmothers and uncles about the podcast. And Charlie, the conversation has already started, so I don't want to, trim it. We have Francis Kwaku Pome from CEO and founder. Where I know say she did do, and I know him for a while now. We've been in the same spaces,
Okay.
but right now Jam Jabi what
Is
but if you ask me what did I know her for, I can't tell you. But I was seeing her at places, events, and all that. Maybe she was
it
researching
Kwakupom or Kwakupome?
Kwakupome.
Kwakupom.
Kwakupom. Oh, really?
Yeah. I
Oh.
figured, yeah.
So let me rewind. Francis Kwakupom, CEO and
And you're adding
founder.
additional sounds.
Yeah, CEO and founder of Jam Jar Company Limited.
Yep.
I love this sound.
Yeah.
Now, Charlie, Jam share butter. Do you use
I
share
do.
all the time,
Since
right?
I moved back to Ghana,
So, wait.
I use it all the time. That's all I use.
Oh, okay,
'Cause I
okay.
decided I didn't want to use manufactured, like my hair, my
Oh, okay.
skin. They say your skin is your biggest organ or whatever.
Yeah.
So all that sort of stuff. So I was like, okay, what can I use? And then I started experimenting.
Well, it looks
with
good.
butter.
But
It
but
looks like
My
it's
skin is
doing
shining,
Yeah.
but confused. I got confused there for a second because you said since you moved back to Ghana, but your surname is Ghanaian, right?
Yes.
And I know you went to GIS
Yes.
young, right? So that means you were not born in Ghana.
So I was born in the UK, and then my parents moved here when I was 1.
Oh,
I
okay,
lived
okay.
here
Oh, okay. So that means you've been using Shebra since you were 1.
Oh, I don't know if my parents were using it on me, maybe, but I know since like I lived here, went to high school,
Yeah.
went to the UK for university, moved back straight away,
Yeah.
and then since I moved back then, 2011, that's when I was like, okay, share butter.
This guy is strange, Charlie.
No, I use it to a certain degree. I'm just saying that.
you know really the work for you.
No, it's not. It works, so, but you see, my problem.
Not everybody likes it.
You know why? No, let me explain. Because Mutompos always think I'm doing something. My life is about convenience, right?
Okay.
So when I go to the shop and I start using one thing,
Yeah, fair enough.
don't tell me that. What I hate is that when I go back, they say, "Oh, it's finished." You know, Ghana, it's finished. So we don't know. They don't know their own shipping schedule.
True.
So when I go, I'll buy something like maybe 10 of them.
Yeah.
So right now, the lotion I'm using, I have about 8 left. 8 bottles.
Fair enough.
So it's stacked, and then I keep using till I run out. And then if I go and it's not there,
You find
then I'll
something
worry about finding something
Fair
else.
enough.
What's your take?
So I think there has to be a little bit of grace given.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think that and that's not all the time. I'm someone of still very high standards. Like, make sure if you're going to do something, you do it. If you're committing that you don't. I'm not in manufacturing, so I don't know what the process of manufacturing is.
It's in Katia, like.
but-
you can't-
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. It's like if you know you can't do the
Yeah,
distribution,
in
then
Katia and the mix of the sugar. I mean,
But everybody's own process. You don't know their house burned down. You don't know what happened, right?
Charlie.
Like Ghana
Fred.
would do Ghana things to you,
Yeah,
and I can only
yeah.
imagine in manufacturing how Ghana does Ghana things to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So the people who have been able to do it, like there's brands like Sankofa, Munchables, who does the plantain chips, like, and it's work. Like I can imagine. So for me, I think there's a balance. I think that, and I'm having this conversation a lot on LinkedIn at the moment with people. It's just like, in Ghana or on the continent, when you're building a business, you're not just building the thing you want to solve.
The entire infrastructure
You
around
have to
it.
build, if you think about anything that you have wanted to create, a lot of the time, you know that you can solve that problem, but you know that you now need to solve, in order to solve that, you need to solve 6 before you can solve that. So, there's been stories around like these big fintechs in Nigeria, closing down and all that sort of stuff. And it's because they weren't able to just focus on the product. They had to focus on building 6 other businesses to then build their product. Whereas in the UK or the US or whatever, that infrastructure has been set up. You can literally focus on fixing the problem. So in Kasikeek, for example, maybe the person, they have to go to the farm. They have to figure out how their logistics is coming, like how they're getting their, like it may not be as simple as what you see on the shelves, unfortunately. So I always think that that's our biggest challenge. Is not, people are not short of ideas. We're not short of capacity, we're not short of creativity, we're not short of any of that. I think it's literally just infrastructure that's holding us back.
Fred, do you face some similar things because you are in the real estate,
Yeah, so I agree to a large extent with what Francis is saying. The only input I didn't mean to diminish what they're doing, but it's in Katie and it's sugar that you basically melt and mix it and do the thing. So if I take that same responsibility for anything that I set out to do, if you can't figure out how to deliver, don't come to market yet, because there's water that I buy. Yeah, I loved the water, bottled water.
No, close.
And Tumbo.
Yeah.
I don't buy. I've told you, I buy things in 10.
Yeah.
So
I've
right now
there's
there's a particular brand of water here. In my workshop now, I have 50 stacks of water as if I'm going to do a funeral. But because I don't want to run out and go there, I want certain bottles to fit in my fridge a certain way. I'm OCD. I arrange my bottles in my fridge, and I'm just using myself as a very rare example. But the fact that you're making water, you're supposed to just filter it, bottle it, and then I was chasing them around for 6 weeks.
Charlie Galamsey, so maybe their water source.
Charlie.
I'm just saying,
I hear you.
I'm saying that, I'm not saying that to, because I think my thing is that also here, the when you go to the small corner shops, you see some of these mom and pop, the flour chips, and the plantain chips. It's not like someone is producing it, but it's not like, oh, they've gone to the level of the packaging and the branding. Sometimes it's just literally Auntie Mary's plantain chips or whatever it is, right? And so I think sometimes it's also a side hustle.
Yeah.
It's not a main
thing.
Hustle, right? It's I do my day job. How many people do we know that make plantain chips from their house, and sell as a side hustle, or do some catering as a side hustle?
There's a really cool lady that makes one in
So if she's traveled, then I'm just saying it's slightly different I hear you in terms of if it's your business and if it's that's what you're doing, then make sure you've got your plans, you're able to supply, But there's so much that goes on.
Yeah, I would figure though that if you're selling bottled water, you're serious about the business of bottled water. But I get you. I feel like just the system that we have in Ghana is fraught with mediocrity. People, because they know they can get away with it.
Yeah,
they know Muto was falling in love with the Nkati cake. And it would be hard for him to find a competitor alternative. See, he'll go around and Charlie, sorry, I don't mean to vent. But the thing about this country that pisses me off is I've realized that the standard, everywhere else, the standard is competitive. In Ghana, it's mediocrity. The simple point I'm making is that one establishment is not competing based on service provided as opposed to... They know that the next door guy is giving you the same crappy service.
I agree with you. So, and I think that's the thing. And I think that's what businesses haven't realized gives them their edge, right? I've been running my business 12 years in Ghana. I can stand and say that I truly believe that people who've engaged with us as a business will get a certain standard between now and is the same, right? And professionalism and approach, because that to me is the ultimate thing. How you're dealing with the customer, and I think that's because I used to be a waitress and a bartender and stuff. So I've been in hospitality in terms of serving people. And I think people don't realize that your competitive edge in Ghana is not necessarily your product, it's the service you're giving.
Absolutely.
So if you sell in cake and maybe now they're offering you delivery, they'll offer delivery, you can order directly, you can do all those sorts of things, that now sets you apart because, like you said, it's so bad in so many, in all industries, that if you realize that the brands that you use, a lot of the time, even if they're not the best, you'll use them because there's a level of service or consistency that they give you that, and for me, I think that's one of the biggest things that people haven't quite cracked here is to realize that, like, because everyone, when you start one shop, look at Coco King as an example, right? They started selling cocoa on the side of the streets. Before you know it, there was 1 million people doing cocoa on the side of the street. No one else was doing it after, like until Coco King was doing it. So you know that people are going to copy your idea pretty quickly in Ghana, right? It's pretty.
I think that's the most effective way to be impactful, actually. But go on.
But then how you can differentiate yourself. So like if Coco King decided that they were going to start now at the traffic lights, you know, giving people flyers that you can order your delivery or will give you great, and the service was excellent, we would still be seeing Coco King by the side of the street. I haven't seen one in a while.
That's crazy.
I don't know what they do now. I'm sure they're still. I think they're still around. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of how they entered the market.
It was crazy. It was very crazy.
It was different. It was like guerrilla. It was like, you know.
I like that you mentioned Jamja. You said for 12 years you have ensured that you offer dope services to all your clients. And this is dope because we are not following a sequence. You know, now I'm coming to enter Jamja before you even tell us about what Jamja is. Sure. But I know Jamja, you know, and how have you ensured that you have been able to tick all the boxes when you are dealing with, you know, clients?
So I think it comes down to your team, right? I think as much as it's me and as much as, like, I'm very aware of a business relying, especially a creative business can rely on me and people want me to be there. But in order for me to deliver that service, my team have to also buy into the same vision of, like, this is why we are delivering what we're doing. And not just like, because you must do it. Like, I will, if you speak to any of my team, I will sit down and explain, like, there's a reason why we do it this way. The reason we do it this way is because of this. And ultimately, without the customer, we aren't anything, right? So we've had situations where customer may be wrong, maybe we didn't respond somewhere, we take full accountability, we'll give you a 50% refund, we do all of that sort of stuff because as for 12 years we've done hardly any marketing and pretty much all our clients have come from referrals, which is a big thing, right? To come from referrals is massive, and to run on that for pretty much 12 years is a lot as well. And it's because people know that, okay, if you go to them, we'll take accountability if we've not done something, if we've not delivered something. The team, within the team, there's accountability. So if I do something wrong, I have to hold up my hands and be like, yeah, guys, that was my bad. Like, when we do our debrief, you know, I have no problem being like, yeah, that was totally on me. So that my team know that they need to take that as well. Like, if you've done something wrong, you have to take the accountability. And if there's situations where we've had customers, I'm like, look, I'm not going to undermine you, but you have to engage with them and you have to take the responsibility. And I think that is what is the game changer, to be honest. I think that's what kind of sets us apart.
So now that we're into Jamja already, I thought it was a very fascinating name. I was looking for some connection to some sort of product.
Everyone thinks we make jam.
Yeah, I was like,
I
didn't think jam immediately though. I thought, oh, the person is quirky, the person is, you know, have you read Purple Cow?
I haven't.
Okay, it's an interesting book, about branding and stuff. But that's the first click in my mind. I was like, oh, she probably is somebody who's very intentional about branding. So I'm interested to see what they do. And I never expected it to be what you do. How did you come up with that?
So when we started the company, it was actually me and another lady called Charlie. And we started, she was in video production.
Francis and Charlie, two guys. Starting a company.
Could be, two ladies. And so we wanted something, we had a WhatsApp group actually, and we were just trying to figure out a name, but I was determined to have a name that was like a household object that no one had much meaning on. So I think Ellen DeGeneres, her production company is the Mad Hatter production company or something like that. And then Shonda Rhimes is like Shondaland, and it's all a bit, it doesn't have to be so like, you know, in Ghana it's like E&L Consults production, you know, it's like
consults, not consults.
Something like that. You know
my
what
favorite
I mean?
one? There's a guy who is called Aqua, and it's in real estate, so he says Aqua Heights, and the branding person was trying to say that people would think it's Water Heights, but his last name is Aqua, the Ghana Aqua.
Yeah.
It's like, nah. Median,
Aqua Heights.
Aqua Heights.
That's all.
But you know, I love I could go on for hours for this, like names of our businesses. And stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. I think there's an episode just on that because there's like, my favorite is Franco Pat when they put the two names together. I love it. Anyway, so we wanted something that was a bit like just different, and so we were going through all the random household objects we could find, and then Jam Jar popped up. And we're like, oh, we like the sound of that. Let's see if it's registered.
One just popped in my head that I'm going to use. It's really cool.
Oh, okay, you're not going to say it on the podcast. he's not going to tell us. It just popped up in his head. So we picked that, and then we sent it to Registrar General, and they were like, oh, I think there's a Jam Jar when it's two separate words. But Jam Jar together as one word is you can register it. So you can register it.
I love this country.
So we did. So legally,
as if you're going to pronounce it differently. Jam.
So legally, I have to make sure that it's always written as like one word just to make sure it's there. But that's how it came, and I love it because everyone thinks that doesn't know what we do when they hear it, but they always ask the question, what do they do? And then they go and search for it. So that was the whole goal of that sort of thing, was to think about something that people would make them ask the question. And then our logo is kind of looks like dripping jam.
But I love the concept of it because I'm a rap nerd, and I think in its own way, if we wanted to make something of it, you can say the content of jam is very amalgamation of different things.
In a jam jar, it's like we do so many different things. I mean, there's lots of things. I mean, we have a few sub brands that we play around with. We have like in the jar. We have like a few little things that internally we kind of just play around with.
But, the logo is pink.
Yeah, it's pink.
Right.
And everyone's like, and there's a part of me that's like, did you really have to go for the pink? But I also like that too because corporate-wise, you don't really see that color used. And so a lot of our clients have to get used to seeing the pink. But
you really should read this book, Purple.
I will. I'll check it out. And so, but it's pink, and then we have black and gray are always part of it in some way, so that it balances out there.
Dope.
So tell the people what you guys do.
That was I was just about to.
We don't make jam. Although I've thought about it, like, maybe we should just make jam and give it to people as gifts. So we've gone through iterations. When people say, what are we? But our core is events, corporate events. But post-COVID, we started describing ourselves as more of a project management creative agency because we realized that we do everything. We just do so much. But the core of what we do is corporate events.
So we are going to get more into that. We are going to dissect it.
Yes.
But before that, right? Your youth, like you growing up, your youth wasn't the right word. Like you growing up, childhood.
Yes.
How many siblings do you have?
Okay, so my dad, so there's 6 of us in total. My dad had other kids while he was in the UK.
Okay.
So I love telling the story of my dad whenever I talk, because my dad was a stowaway. So he left Ghana when he was 19 in colonial Ghana to the UK, and then he sort of had his life there, and he used to work in the steelworks and the oil rigs. Like he was a pretty
Where is he now?
My dad passed away when he was 19.
I was going to say we need him on the podcast.
Trust me, that was the one thing that I regret not doing was like recording his story. But my mom knows a lot of his stories.
Those people have stories.
So that's something we actually have
should get her on record.
Is record my mom's stories because she knows a lot of like his past and his history. So they met in the UK in Sheffield. My mom was at university and my dad was working in the oil rigs and steelworks back then.
He stayed. He didn't move off the ship. Like, he stayed around, ships, Well,
I mean, he moved.
Water.
I think he arrived in Middlesbrough and then he, that's interesting actually.
Yeah, if you think about it.
Yeah, he was always kind of.
I'm like, the ship brought me here, so I'm going to work on water.
But I mean, the oil rigs did differently.
I know.
It was a Ghanaian man that couldn't swim, but he was the one who would do the diving, the diving, the rust. He was a rust engineer on the oil rigs. He has a fascinating story. So I always talk about him a little bit just in honor of his memory.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, and so he and my mom met in Sheffield, and then they'd been together, 13 years, and they had me. And then my mom was like, so are we moving back to Ghana? Because apparently from the moment she met my dad, he's like, oh, he's moving back to Ghana next year. And then every year it would be like, next year. So she's like, yeah, are we going or we're not going? And then, they had me and then moved back to Ghana. It was 11 months when they landed in Accra. Wow. And then I grew up in Adabraka. So I'm an Adabraka baby.
Okay.
That's my hood, as they say. I grew up there. I was in nursery at my auntie's nursery till I was 3, 4. So I speak 3-year-old Ga, unfortunately. My God didn't develop past 3. Okay, I understand. Getting me to respond though, a little more challenging. When I'm fighting though, it comes.
That is in the DNA. The fight is in the DNA.
When I need to respond to someone though, it's there. And then I went to GIS. My mom worked at GIS to get us places in GIS, so it wasn't a given that we were going to go. And because my dad by that time was retired, so he was on pension, and then my mom was working as an English teacher, and she's also a leather worker. So she makes incredible leather goods.
Does she make bags and stuff?
Yeah, she makes bags.
Really?
Is she the rare one, the hard one to find?
Soul Inspiration is the name of her brand. I think I have a client that
chases her down. She makes bags?
She makes bags, she makes belts, she makes wallets, she makes sandals and everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
what's your mom's name?
Jill Kokopom,
I think, I'm going to ask Kwesi. I think that's who Kwesi orders his bag.
Oh, is it Kwesi Mate?
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Kwesi, I introduced Kwesi to my mom. That's how come she gets all his bags. So she makes incredible, so that's how we were in GIS. And I call myself a lifer because I was there from nursery to 6th form. I didn't go to any other school. So GIS is all I know. Fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah. You, I know one of your bros, or I know a brother of yours. Are you guys siblings?
Who? Who are you
wait.
Abeku?
No.
Yoko?
Tall, slim.
Guido?
Yeah, Guido.
Guido's my younger brother.
Yeah, Guido's your younger brother.
So
Guido.
my dad had other kids, so they're all in the UK, but from my mom, it's me and my younger brother.
Yeah. How were you two like when you were kids?
Oh, sibling rivalry all the way, I think, till we were like 17. I was 17 and he was like 14. And then I would say that's where we were just like really good friends. Really good friends. Like we used to fight, like that sibling, like, I'm his big sister. We're just kind of like in that. But we were always really close, and so I think. And then once we got to a certain age where we could relate and hang out, because I used to go out all the time. I started going out when I was like 14, so I was in the streets. So when
outside,
I was in the streets pretty young, and so when he started wanting to go out and stuff, it was like. I could teach him. I'm like, let's go, and then we'd hang, and then he thought I was a little bit cool, I guess, and then,
Wow. Okay, so before Fred comes in, my last question, and based on what I just asked you, Guido is part of Jamja.
Yes, we
an
work
integral
together.
part.
He's an integral part of it.
Co-founder, right?
Yeah, so he joined in 2017. Yeah. I basically bullied him for about a year, and I was like, you gotta come work with me, because I need someone I can like really trust to build this. And the way he thinks about things and does things is very different from how I do things, and I think that we would really complement each other really well.
Why did you want him to come work for you, especially you growing in the same household where at a young age you guys were button heads and all that?
I can tell you stories
what went through that decision making? Were you not scared, Guido, from the same house, same parents?
I think it's about it's the unknown, but I think here one of the hardest things when you're building a business is finding someone you can build it with that you trust, like has your back, like 100%. And even in families, it doesn't always happen. Like you can get your sister and still, or your brother and still. So I think we would have a lot of conversations. I was telling him what I was doing. I was telling him what I'm working on. And I was like, I think that, he was in the UK at the time, and I was trying to convince him basically that the UK, there was not much there for him that he was going to be doing, you know what I mean? So he should come back. And he'd been there 10 years, so he was also starting to be a bit like, okay, what's my next move? And I think for me, it was very much about the trust, but also, again, the way he thinks about things. he's the kind of person, he was working in an insurance company in the UK, and he was also modeling at the time.
Yeah.
So he needed a flexible job. So he realized very quickly in this business that, and you can listen to it on the podcast, I talked to him about it, that there was a way that they could change their working structure, make it more efficient, basically hire less of the like premium people and like of the people who maybe cost more, and more of people who would just run the admin.
Yeah.
It would free up his flexibility. So he pitched it to them, and they basically changed their whole working structure.
Wow.
To do that. And then he got the flexibility he needed.
He did. Wow.
And I was like,
saved other people too.
yeah, and I was
That's
just
quite
literally
innovative.
like, because he was a physiotherapist, so he was basically assessing insurance claims for physio, whether they needed to actually get therapy or whether they could just go and do something else. So he basically worked out the whole system, said to them that like, look, this is what you could do, and it would be much more efficient for you. You'd save yourself some money. And they took it and they gave him flexibility. And I was like, yeah, see, that's a really interesting way of thinking.
Yeah.
And so he moved, this is the funniest thing, he moved in December 2017. I hadn't had a holiday for 5 years, 3-4 years, because I was building the business. So he literally arrived and I was like, oh, I'm going on holiday, by the way, for 2 weeks. Bye. And left him with the company for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And he was like, I can't believe you did this to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, the only way you're going to learn is if I'm not around, and you'll see what I'm dealing with. And he'll tell you that those 2 weeks were the best 2 weeks for him to really understand what my challenges were at the time. And then it was really challenging for us to start working together, because we'd gone from 10 years of not living together, being in the same house, being in separate, maybe seeing each other for like a week when you go hang out, to now living in the same house, because we both lived with my mom at the time, next door to each other in our old rooms, go to the same office the every day. And literally at that time, my office was 2 desks facing each other. So all of a sudden we were in each other's lives every minute of every day when we'd gone from 0 to nothing. So we really had moments of, butting heads, because you're starting to learn who each other is as an adult, right? You don't know other than like your child. So, but the thing that got us through that is we agreed that every Monday we would have a one-on-one session, like check-in session. We also, I think, because we knew that fundamentally we just really loved each other as siblings and had ultimately want the best for each other, we would sit down and really go through the painful conversations and really be very honest with each other. Like, I don't like this. I don't like working like this. This is how I work. And then we started to find like a rhythm and an understanding. And it took about 3 years, 4 years. And now he has his groove, he has my groove. We kind of like telepathically communicate. We're good.
That's
But it
dope.
took like
Nice story.
dedication. Like we had to be committed to that, like every Monday. There were times where like I was on my office floor crying because we were like fighting so much.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Like we went through that, but it was like ultimately, even when we had those arguments, we would talk. You're siblings. You're used to sibling rivalry. So within the next hour, you're calling the other person and you're like, "I'm sorry. Let's just talk about."
Yvonne, if you're listening, my sister never apologized.
If you had a chance, or if you had an opportunity, or if we gave you the opportunity, even though you meet every Mondays,
Not anymore, because now we just know.
But if you had an opportunity to tell Judo one thing that you haven't told him yet, or you're supposed to call to tell him you forgot, what do you have to tell him?
Like that, I forgot today.
No.
Like
in general, like one thing that you have been.
I think that's tough because we tell each other pretty much
everything.
all the things. But I think it's. I think that he, especially with changes recently in my life, I think it's the fact that he's just so committed to this as much as I am.
Dope.
Even though we didn't start it at the same time. He's just as committed to it, and that is, I think, is incredible. You have to find someone that is just like, we're doing this. This is our thing, and you're in the grind together. And if he's having a bad day, I pick it up, but he picks it up. So
Dope.
he's great like that.
Shout, Judo.
I'm very lucky to have a brother like that. Yeah, very.
It's
lucky.
awesome. I think when you can evolve and grow with a sibling and become friends.
Yeah.
I have a similar relationship with my sister, so I can relate.
Yeah.
The empathy, the
Yeah.
Sometimes we're the ones that disagree the most.
Yeah, 100%.
And extremely passionate.
Yeah.
But we know at the base of it is love, even though Yvonne has never apologized to my wife. She refuses to. So in case you watch this, sis, just know that I know. But you know, what fascinates me about the story you began to tell about your dad, and I'm trying to go back there, is you said he was a stowaway, and he ended up in the UK, and then met your mom, who was in uni. What's his background? What was his background before he took
my
off?
dad was living in Adabraka. His father was a shoemaker.
Okay.
In Adabraka. So he was pretty well off from what I hear. Like in his, he used to tell us stories of how his dad used to give him pocket money.
Yeah, Adabraka was a Dadabi neighborhood, for those who don't know.
So his dad used to give him pocket money that was enough to pay his friend's school fees. And I was like, so at that time I'm in GIS and I'm like, hey, so if I get pocket money, that's enough to pay my friend's school fees. How much would that have been? I'd be like, man, we've been balling. Yeah. But like back then, I don't know what that was in like shillings or whatever. But I just remember thinking like, wow. And he used to, apparently, these are stories, so corroboration. I'm sure there's other people that can tell. But, you know, he was like 16, 17, living in Adabraka, colonial Ghana. And apparently used to run a bit of an extortion gang. So they used to like run all the shops. I think the shops that used to be owned by like foreigners and stuff. They used to go and threaten to smash up the shops if people didn't pay them. So he's like a full gangster. He was like a full, and I was just like, wow. My brother and I talk about this because there's a couple of situations where, you know, when you have clients and it's like they don't want to pay you, right? And so you have to find like strategies to like get the money, right? And there was one gig where Guido and I were like, Charlie, what do we like maybe we need to do some extortion gang type of like energy. Like we need extortion gang energy like from dad. Like what would that be? We're like, Charlie, let's just say we are not working. Like we are just not going to do the work unless they pay us. So we said that to the client. Within like 2 days, the client paid us. We were like, that's the kind of energy.
It works.
So sometimes we're like, extortion gang energy? Like how do we need to go with this?
I love that.
But that was kind of his background, I guess. But I think he lived in a pretty decent environment in that sense. His mom died when he was pretty young. So he grew up with his dad and I think a stepmom that he sort of got on with, maybe didn't. And it was just him and his sister. And then, I think when he was 19, I guess in Accra back then, there wasn't much like for people to do, or maybe they didn't see their trajectory. And so the plan or the trip that they would do is go to Takoradi, because there were lots of ships in the port in Takoradi. They would hide on the ships. And because it was a colony, when they got to, I think, past Senegal, there were other British colonies at the top there. So then they would show up on the ships at that point, and then they would work the ships. And then when they'd get off the ships, they would actually get paid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they knew the move. Yeah. So he got off in like Middlesbrough or somewhere. Finally, all he had was like a light T-shirt on type of thing, and it was cold. And then he went and found his way.
Wow. But you know, the reason why I asked even in the first place is because the story of a stowaway didn't bring any, you didn't interject. You said 19, so I figured, okay, no real fully formed professional background at that point. Yeah. And I was fascinated that he pulled a college graduate. Your mom. So that's where I was going with that question.
Because he was a good-looking black guy in a pub.
Oh, okay. Okay, so his looks. How do you pull a college grad?
No, because they used to hang out. Well, because by the time he met my mom, he was 44.
Okay.
And my mom was 24.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So my mom was at uni, and they were, I think,
20 years.
Yes, 20 years difference between my parents. And so they were in, I think they met in a pub. They had some mutual friends. They met in a pub, and my mom just liked him because he was pretty quiet, seemed pretty chill, you know. So
I don't know. Women like quiet men.
Yeah.
Like,
well, like
I've
been told
quiet,
that because
that's same. Me too. But back in the day, like they'll tell me that, oh, I came to talk to you, or you were quiet. You were very.
Maybe I need to shut up some more.
But you know, it's interesting because maybe it's a thing of like, you know when there's like chaos, and there's just that one person and they're just kind of chill, and maybe they're not saying as much, you're kind of like, different, interesting. So maybe it's that, I don't know.
I actually just said this because of Fred, and I'm happy that he
said
caught on.
maybe
Because Fred has been saying that he's not getting anyone. He's still single.
I'm not looking.
I'm not looking.
And I know why. You know what? I know why.
Why?
Because if Fred is at a gathering,
He's talking life of the
and
party.
you bring up any issue from Asasiasi to the universe,
Yeah.
Fred will have something to say, and Fred will go in.
I'll go in.
So,
and I know the biz. I'm not about to change at all. Like I think I'm at the point in my life where I'm happy and very content with the life that I have. That I think adding somebody is going to take that extra connection. Like we're really like I don't want to marry for the sake of marriage. And I don't want to be with someone for the sake. I'm happy. I'm chilling. Like my right hand works fine.
Hey, whatever floats your boat, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm just chilling.
Yeah.
So but I just was curious about your family background, how your dad pulled your mom, because that's a very.
I mean, he had swag. Like if you see pictures of him, you're like, yep, that's a good-looking guy.
I like it.
But also just I think my mom's background. My mom is English, white English, but she's Jewish. So she grew up in an Orthodox Jewish household.
Okay.
So
even
being with my
crazier.
dad, being with my dad is even like, what? How did you end up here? But they did, and I think for me, what's really great about it is I grew up in a house that was multicultural. So I grew up with a Ghana father and a Jewish mother, and we did Hanukkah and we did Passover and we did all of those. And then I went to Homowa and I did Homowa and I did the washing of my feet. Like I've done all the on all sides, and so it's very grounding, I think. And so I think it's the reason why I'm not a
At some point, we have to get into your multicultural background. Interesting chat.
I don't know what you read in school. I don't know what you...
As in university?
Uni, wherever, high school, sixth form, wherever. I don't know what you like doing, your interest. So I'm tempted to ask, maybe it was from what you read in school. That's why you created a company like Jamja.
Not at all.
So what?
Nothing to do with it.
So why?
How did I end up here?
Yeah, why Jamja? Why did you come up with that creative?
I wanted to work in the UN. So I did. So actually, when I left GIS, I did economics, history, and biology. And because I thought was going to do something in like psychology. Then at one point I was like, oh, maybe I'll do law. Like I didn't really know what I was going to do. So I applied to do law. I didn't get in to any of my choices, my school choices. So I decided, I'll take a year off. And I did my A-levels again because I wasn't that happy with my A-level results. So I did my upper six again in the UK, got better results. I found my old certificates the other day. I was like, hey, I was smart too. Like I wasn't getting straight A's or anything, but in some of the topics when they give you the breakdown, I saw, I got an A here or a B here, and I was like, oh, that's quite clever. You know when you're like, maybe some small brains today,
It didn't happen quite.
Okay, not bad. And so I did them again, and then I ended up doing politics and sociology. If you don't get your first choice in the UK, you go through a system called clearing. So you basically can go through all the courses that are not full, or all the courses that are available in your preferred universities, and then pick which one you'd like to go. And as long as you have the grades, you'll probably get in. So I got that for politics and sociology. I wanted to work with the UN, so I decided I would do a master's as well. So I did my master's in globalization and development. So I was like UN focused, but during university, I was also working as a bartender. So I was working in clubs, restaurants, bars. I was a qualified cocktail bartender at some point. And then I was also a waitress. And so that's how I got my pocket money being in university. So I've basically been working since I was 18 and worked through university. And then when I got back to Accra, the first job I got was managing Firefly. Remember Firefly?
Yeah, true.
I wasn't here then.
Okay, so Firefly, I think was 2011.
Yeah.
I was hired as the manager for Firefly, so I basically opened Firefly. I did all the training for the bartenders. I did all the customer service training. I did all of that so I worked at Firefly for 3 months until I found another job in with a private development agency. Worked with them for a year and a half. While I was doing that, I started Roof on Fire.
Now you're bringing yeah.
So Roof on Fire, I was a rooftop party that I started with Charlie, and we were running it every month, and I was making like 600 CDs a month from like Roof on Fire. Now back then, 600 CDs was money. You're making 600 CDs from one event a month, and I was making 1,000 CDs a month from my normal job, but I was paying back my career development loan in pounds. So my job was not even covering it. So luckily, my mom was helping me with those payments so that I could figure out just what I wanted to do. And then after a year and a half of working with the development agency and doing Roof on Fire, I was like, but I could just do Roof on Fire full time, maybe consult in some other, capacities, and then I'll be fine. So I took the very brave leap of quitting my job and then starting Jam Jar with Charlie. And so, because she was doing video production at the time, she was producing Vodafone, what was that show? Vodafone Icons.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm a video producer, I'm a production. There was no one really doing that at that time, like on that kind of scale. So we were like, no, let's start a production company, basically, an events and production company. And so we did. We started in 2013 is when it was officially registered, but we were doing some stuff before then. And that's how I ended up doing Jam Jar.
That's wow. What a story.
So it was not by design in a way but I've always loved organizing things. Like just as a interest in school, I would organize the fairs. People tell me I'm bossy. I'm always telling people what to do. So probably a pretty good.
Yeah. So now it makes sense, because this morning I'm like, Francis, how do I know her? Like, even at what point in
Roof
time?
on Fire,
but you were always in my face. Like every time we met at places,
Republic,
everywhere. That's.
But also, we were in the creative scene of 2011. That was a very different creative scene.
Very
now.
different. Very
like it was growing. There's a handful of us. I would say like your Stefania's, yourself, and my first office was at Stefania, where El Loco was. Like so, Stefania and I we kind of built up certain things together. I met her through my mom. That's how I met Stefania. But just Republic, when Republic opened, like the whole kind of energy around that time was very different in terms of how the scene. I mean, it was smaller, so obviously now it's just a lot bigger and people are doing different things.
So before
we were always in the same space.
So how did you being in spaces help with Jam Jar? And I'm also asking this question because you at the beginning you said at 14 you were out.
Oh yeah.
Right. So how
it
did
helped
you?
Because I think for me it was very much about. So the way I used to get people to go to Roof on Fire, I used to flyer myself. I used to print flyers. I'll go to Republic. I'll hand flyers out to everybody. I'll go to Lexington, hand flyers out. I'll go to like all the places that were like happening at the time and literally flyer for Jam Jar. Like I did everything myself, right? And then. So I think being in some of those spaces when something like that wasn't happening and bartending myself sometimes at the events or being out in the spaces then helped me form connections. So I'll tell you an interesting story. Running Firefly for 3 months, I met a gentleman there who worked with the UN. And I told you I always wanted to work with the UN. Yeah. But I didn't, after I started working in development, I just closed my mind. Then we had the Ebola outbreak. And I literally got a phone call from this man in 2014. I think it was like July, August 2014. And he's like, hey, I have an opportunity for you to work with the UN. I was like, sorry, what? I was like, me who has never, where is this coming from? And he was like, just by seeing how you worked at Firefly and the way that you engaged with me as a client of the and just how I saw you engaging, we need people like you on this mission. And so I literally got an offer. I had to do some interviews, things like that, and I got an offer, and I was the special assistant to the head of mission in Sierra Leone for 6 months during the Ebola mission. With no prior UN experience.
So you did scratch your UN itch.
I did. I scratched my UN itch, and it was like the universe totally making that happen in some way, but it was because of the way that I worked and the way that I engaged with people. And he saw that, and he was like, and I had conversations with him about my master's and my background and stuff. But I had never worked at the UN before. So I didn't obviously get the role I was in was like what they call a P4 role. So you're earning like some, I don't know, 30K or 40K a month, right? But because I had no prior experience, I was earning a P2 role, which is like much less, but still the most as a 26-year-old that I've ever been paid in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Helped me clear my debts, helped me like pay my mom back, like it helped me reinvest in Jamja. So it was an incredible once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but it was because, so kind of circling back to your point about mediocrity, I think what people don't realize is that people are just always watching. You don't know who you're impressing. You don't know who is in a space with you. And so two things I learned in being in spaces is always, especially in Ghana because it's so small, is even if you don't know someone, you don't engage with them, you don't know who they are, it's like politeness is free, right? So if you're just kind to someone, or they're like, hey, I know you, and you, oh, please leave me alone, I don't know you, like that kind of, you don't know if the next day you meet them and they're the boss of something, like it happens all the time. So like that one thing is like big time.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is just from that experience of being essentially headhunted from Firefly, which if you told me that was going to happen, I wouldn't have believed you, to work in potentially a dream job that I just would, and that experience was amazing. Like 6 months in Sierra Leone during Ebola,
That's
life-changing.
Wow.
You know, you said a few things. I hope my mental Rolodex brings me like in the sequence of things. But you mentioned your founding partner, Charlie, that you guys have started 2 businesses together.
No, Charlie, Roof on Fire was part of Jamja, yeah.
Oh, okay, it was part of Jamja.
Yeah.
So what happened to Charlie?
So Charlie left in 2014.
Okay.
Because she was from the UK and then she wanted to move back to the UK, and so she decided. So we sort of agreed that. So eventually, I just sort of ended up running it by myself. There was another girl as well, Tanais, who joined us. Then she moved back to Australia. So then in the end, it was just me.
Okay. Yeah. But for Jamja and what you're doing, I was reading a bit on the profile of the company and the different events that you've touched. It mentions also about like redefining, the perception of the African, I guess, entrepreneur and even just our narrative in general.
100%.
And how you're trying to help frame it.
Yeah.
And I find that to be a curious, like, venture. Like, what drives that? What did you see that made you say, okay, this is how we're going to position ourselves, and that's how we're going to...
So I think, when I started doing Jamja, the goal was always, because we were doing we were doing events on the continent, and weddings and all those sorts of things. But I felt that no one was doing corporate events in the way that and it's not that I had even seen them in a different way, but I just felt like there's so much more we can do, right?
Absolutely.
And so much more we can do with what we have even. And so my drive was always on some level to show that like we could do great events on the continent. We didn't need like, all these foreign agencies to potentially come here and then execute, because we end up doing the work for them anyway, because they hire local people anyway, and then you did the work. So we wanted to position ourselves kind of differently. And we've done that because I think we've really just shown that like you can do that. But to answer your question, I suppose, in terms of what drives that is, what else do we have, right? In the sense of the perception issue of like the continent. We didn't create this narrative for ourselves. Someone else created this narrative of us, right? So it's kind of up to us to change it in some way, right? And I know that at the moment, a lot of people are talking about changing the narrative of Africa, and it can sound very sort of repetitive and cliche and things like that. But I think for me in events, it's just so core to business on the continent.
Yes.
People don't think it's safe still to come to the continent. People still think that we are animals and huts, like in this day and age with the amount of social media that we have. So I feel like it has to be intentional in the conversations that we're having. We're rolling out what we call these like cultural experiences for business people who want to come and visit the continent from a business perspective. But the goal of it is that you learn the business culture of Ghana. Yes. When someone is saying tomorrow, then then you know what it means. You need to find somebody to help you navigate the scene. Because when you go to the UK or you go to the US or you go to Asia, you know what the business culture is. Like in Japan, you have to do karaoke if you want to do business. That's how they learn how to trust you. You have to get drunk and sing karaoke with them. That's their business culture. So what is our business culture? Because everyone comes to the continent and then they leave and go, well, it didn't work in Africa. No, it's not that it didn't work in Africa. It's just that you didn't know how to make it work. Because we're all here making it work, are we not? So there's no reason why you can't come and, like, if you actually took the time to learn, and the onus shouldn't be on us having to adjust all the time. People also have to learn and be intentional. And I also think that it's a change of framing, because I just don't think people see Africans, and I'm being very general because I want to capture the African continent and people who work on the African continent. They don't respect us on the same level from a business perspective.
Of course.
And I think that's just a fundamental perception thing. And until they can change the perception of how they see us from a business perspective and respect level, they won't change how they engage on coming to the continent, like the charity lens, all of those sorts of things. So for me, that's what makes me, because it impacts my daily work. When I'm working with international brands, I spend a lot of time telling them what is possible, what's not possible. There was a company that wanted to come in, I'm not mentioning names, obviously. They came in, we worked with them, and they wanted to come in with like a name of company, Africa. And I was like, you can't enter them. Nobody wants the yellow, green, and red. We want your core brand here. Don't think you have to water down that brand because it's Africa. We want the brand. It's like Adidas coming. We want Adidas. Nike. We don't want Nike Africa. And then you know, like
that makes you feel.
It makes you feel like you've somehow had to adjust for who we think we are. You're not recognizing that we already consume your product. You're not seeing us as an equal consumer as anyone else, right? And so for me, that affects my daily work. And so I was like, no, we have to start changing the way people see us so that now the level changes.
Now, I love that that's what you've taken on, because it is absolutely a different kind of skill set to survive business-wise on this side of the world. But what I think generally some of us, and I'm glad that there are people like you, Jamdra, who are stepping out to showcase this, is we take for granted what it is and takes to succeed. Because you did say, you mentioned, I'm glad, you go to Japan, they have a way of doing things. You go to Europe, they have a way of doing things in different parts. And even there's a good old adage that says, you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. We're just simply not tuning into that, where we think everything here is
bad.
Look, I tell, Mutombo may disagree with me quite a bit, but I tell this story to people all the time. And I live by it. I don't even care. Bribery on the surface level is an intrinsic part of this culture. And if you come and you think you can circumvent it,
Gifting.
Massa, you will, gifting, they call it facilitation. All kinds of names. But it's just that it happens to a different degree in the West and it's packaged differently. Ours is so raw.
Someone always says, where did we learn it from?
Charlie?
And my other thing is, and this is I'm not, like, we can go into that conversation, but when I moved back in 2011, everyone was like, why are you moving back to Ghana? And I was like, because what is there for me in the UK? Because the minute I got to the UK, I was like, I don't think this system is set up for me to succeed. Right? For people who look like us, and even for me, people will be like, yeah, but you're half coast, so but when I go there, I'm black. No one is seeing my white mother in my face. No. Like, I'm black. Like, no, it's true. Because it was weird for me. Like, I grew up here.
That was funny.
I grew up here kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, you're half co or Obroni or whatever. And I was just a bit like, that's annoying, but it's not, it is what it is. And I'm very conscious of like the privilege I have as like a mixed race person, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But, which I do talk about, by the way. But
I got into it. I wanted to get into it. We have to come on your podcast too.
You do. Yeah. But what was I saying? Yeah. So then I went to the UK, and all of a sudden people are calling me black, and I was like, but me, I'm half black, half white, so I don't understand why now you're following me around the shop. Why? What did I do to you? Like, not with the baskets, not like in Ghana with the baskets.
But they are following you. They are following
you. Just making sure you are not
I'm not
grabbing
stealing anything. So it was like total culture shock for me because it doesn't matter like where it's just the same.
Something else. But you have to deal with the system as it is. You can't change the system.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, was that when I got there, I realized that system was not designed for me to thrive, right? But the system in Ghana was organized chaos.
Yes.
That's what I like to call it.
Yes.
You could create your own system within the system.
That's how it works.
And it works. And so when I came back, as much as like it was like, I was just like, I could thrive in this. And maybe that was
a little bit of gangster when the gun woman comes out.
Yeah, people think that they're like, Francis, I just don't understand how you did this. And I was like, yeah, but like, it's not about, oh, there has to be this perfect system. It's like, okay, you make your relationships, you figure out how the system works, and you crack the code. And all of a sudden you have a guy. You have a thing, you have a guy, you have a done, you have a done, you have a whatever, and you move. And I've worked on 8 countries on the continent. Yeah. And people are like, I've worked in DRC, by the way. And people are like, but how do you go and work? People are like, how do you go and work in these places? And I'm like, when a client says, can you do it? I say yes. Yes. And then I figure it out. Absolutely. And if you use your network and you've got good relationships and you call people and you're like, hey, I need somebody here, I need someone here, I need someone here, then the one thing I will say about working on the continent is we are so connected. Yes. So when people are talking about like working on the continent and why we need to change the narrative, because while I've been here working and connecting across the whole continent and being in these countries by myself, I've not experienced anything other than drive, work, effort, people who are doing excellent things. So then who are you to now go and be marketing us as like poor and backward and like, it just pisses
there's a
me
fundamental truth about this experience. I know about this that people don't either acknowledge or recognize. But for me, what I always use as an example, and I'll ask you about him in a second. I don't know if you've met him or not. Is there was a time I think Jay-Z was doing Water for Life tour, and he came to Africa and he went to Nigeria, came to Ghana, and I'm the biggest Jay-Z fan. I introduced my brothers to Jay-Z and blah blah blah, and my brother's in entertainment now, and I've gone to Jay-Z concerts in the US. And I was sitting somewhere, the closest I came was some VIP section, which was far off from him because I was in the owner's booth. And my brother and them are the ones ushering Jay-Z into the country, dapping him and things. And here's the point I made from that in America, I'm a stranger. I'm so far out of the loop. The degrees of separation is so far, but here we are 2
degrees.
Charlie.
1 degree.
So
what am I doing over there?
Yeah. Why not come here and build from that standpoint?
And that was the thing for me, was like, I am here. When I'm here, I'm going to ambassador, whatever. And
there's nothing wrong with it, Charlie. You can't shame me out of privilege. You enjoy the privilege. Wow.
For me, the thing is, it's about acknowledging the privilege and how you use it to open doors for others.
Of course.
Right? For me, as long as you're moving in that way, like I'm very aware of like how I look, and therefore there's certain spaces I move in Ghana that it causes a different reaction to other people I'm with. And my husband and I talk about this on my podcast, and just the engagement of him and I, and when we go into spaces together. And I'm aware of that. And so when my team are having a hard time, or there's certain things that they are having a challenge with one person, then I'll show up and be like, hey, it's not accepted.
This, I know how Ghanaians
you know what I
mean?
Yeah,
that is
it's
how.
pretty much it. Yeah. So it's one of these things that we just have to figure it out.
So, Jamja.
Going back to that.
Yeah, we are still in there. 2014, you started 5-6 years into your business, year of return.
Oh my goodness! Wow,
tell us,
you landed your return on me. I didn't work your return.
Yeah, you didn't. Jamja didn't do anything. No. It didn't affect the business in any way.
So it's really funny because it's kind of controversial. I remember doing a panel discussion at Frontback, and we were talking about, I think it was like August or September 2019, and there were people in the room who were like dealing with year of return, and everyone was like, oh yeah, year of return, it's going to be great for the businesses, we're going to do so well, da 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 da. I said, I'm closing, Jamja, we are closing. Everyone was like, why are you closing 2019 December? I said, because going back to infrastructure, I said, I've been working in Ghana for however many years I had been at that point. December is a hectic time right? When it comes to
Extremely.
events. All the vendors are booked. I mean, I would generally try not to do events. Actually, we used to close pretty much like, we used to close for Christmas for us because I realized that like, it just wasn't my time. And the amount of work that you do for the amount you get back was very little. It was not worth it unless you're doing weddings, unless you're doing the birthdays, unless you're doing those kind of social events. So our rentals used to do really well. Our furniture rental, we made this like pallet furniture, recycled pallet furniture in 2015. And that would do well. So we would do that. But in terms of taking on events, maybe there would be one or two I would take on, but I wouldn't take on a whole lot because the logistics of getting things that you needed, everything was tough. So when they were talking about 2019, now all of a sudden, year of return, however many more people coming to the system, I was like, that's just going to be a nightmare. So me, I closed 15th and I enjoyed myself and I went to the concerts.
It's also crazy that you didn't think...
My brother and I had a great time.
Yeah, it's also crazy that you didn't think about raking in money.
No, because
That's
Christmas to me is not
it's-
I think you can make money in Christmas if you have, like I said, the rentals, the weddings, those sorts of things, you make money. When it's corporate, like the MTNs and the large banks doing business, if you are not in already during the year, you're not getting that gig.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? So it's not like, oh, now I can now go and bid for that corporate Christmas event because maybe I've not been working with them all year.
Yeah.
So I was just very much like, and I do my business like, obviously, the goal is to make money, but the driver isn't money. And I realized very, because people, when I started my business, so many people told me that, Francis, if you don't do weddings, you will not make money. I don't know why you're doing events and you're not doing, I said, me, I'll be in jail. I would have killed a bride. It's not my thing. Like, and I say this all the time to people. I was like, it is not, I know myself. I'm not interested. My wedding was 30 people. It was small. During COVID, we took advantage of it. That's what it was. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, dope.
I'm not the one who's going to convince you to spend 10,000 CDs on a cake.
Yeah.
I'm not that person. I'll be like, don't spend the money.
Yeah.
Go on holiday after. Like, that's just me. So I was like, there's great wedding planners out there. I don't need to be the one that is gonna do that. Let me focus on corporate, what I know, what I do well. And I was stubborn about it. And then, so during Christmas too, I was like, it's okay, let me enjoy myself. We've not had a holiday. Guido and I, we closed. I went to the manifestivities. I was dancing with Burna Boy. I had a blast.
Yeah, no, that's all.
You know what's fascinating about that period? You mentioned that it was year of return and you shut down. But that year was the first, I think it was second year of Afro Future, which formerly was Afrochella.
I don't know if it was second, 2019. Their first one was
28.
Because it's been 5 or 6 years now.
2018.
No, 2018. 2018 was the first one.
2018 was
Polo
the first
Club.
one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
First one was Polo.
I should know this because I do work with them. So.
Polo Club.
First one was Polo
They
Club.
rented our furniture for that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
those pallets.
The pallets.
yeah.
So do you know, I'm going to claim
oh.
this on the podcast because I feel like, maybe people don't know about it, but I feel like I need to claim it. So 2015, we didn't have any money, and we needed to do some rentals just to start to make money. So we're like, okay, what can we make? My assistant at the time, Mamis, shout out to Mami, because it's definitely her idea, to make furniture out of pallets, the tomato boxes. The market's tomato boxes. So then from there, I had friends, like one of my friends' dads has a furniture workshop, and he helped me basically build out this pallet furniture. And we started renting it. Nobody was renting pallets. Nobody was doing anything with pallets at the time. So everybody started to know Jamja as the pallet furniture people. That's everywhere there were pallets. Everyone was like, oh, Jamja. So you see today.
Started a whole revolution.
So you see today when you see the pallets being used on the side of the road, I'm claiming that. Because literally because the way people use pallets now is literally because we started doing rental pallet furniture. And it's been anywhere. Burger and Relish. We made their pallet furniture. Cupcake Boutique.
Oh, you made Cupcake. I was about to mention Cupcake.
We made Cupcake Boutique.
But I saw it at Polo Club when you guys did it.
Yep.
Those low.
Yeah. That was us.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. So I'm claiming it.
You have to. Tell us about some of the clients.
Oh, I was on a question.
Okay.
Sorry. So I was taking it to ask you that that was year of return. Afro Future there. I know that it's now on your list of
clients.
What formed that connection? How did you get acquainted with.
So it's really funny
guys.
because Kenny, shout out to Kenny because he's amazing. I think, it's amazing how when you don't know people or you just don't, what you can make of people. Do you know what I mean? And so they rented our furniture, our pallet furniture the first year, and it got destroyed. Like it just got messed up. Me and Kenny were on it, back and forth. And eventually we kind of figured it out. And then in 2021, I think it was, so we were working with Meta. I've been working with Meta since 2017. So when they were Facebook, they've been one of my longest standing clients. And so they were sponsoring some work. They were doing stuff in 2019 or 2020. It was one of I think it was 2020 or 2021, one of those. All the years have merged. And they were doing an activation with Instagram. So Instagram was sponsoring different things at the festival, fashion night out, stuff like that. But we were their brand. We were the brand that was executing the Instagram stuff. So we basically started working really closely with the Afrofuture guys because of the Instagram work that we were doing. And so they saw how we started to work because we were working on the VIP area. So we kind of mapped out a whole bunch of things for them. And then since then, we've sort of, worked really closely with them, just helping them improve their experience. So, I'm sure now when you go, you see all the barricades. That's all my brother. My brother designed that whole,
You guys can,
the whole barricading system, the floor plan, we support them with
it was pretty annoying, but it was pretty useful.
Yes.
So
everyone is very
and I were
annoyed
there
about
a couple
the
of years ago.
barricades.
Yeah.
And I found it very, but
long.
then later when I got there, I was like, okay, I see why, and I get it.
But also internationally, that's what you get.
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to
true,
walk
true.
for
You have to,
hours.
you have to.
But also, do you know what people don't notice is that when you close, now to open the gates and get people out, we're able to get 20,000 people out in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Because it's organized and because there's no bunching and there's
Also, you guys are the ones that are behind that. That's
we
super
help
dope.
them out with all of that.
that's
So we work with them now. Kenny and I are like best friends now.
Oh, great.
So shout out to Kenny.
Yeah, shout out
I'm
to
trying to
Kenny,
get some gossip
Abdul,
on you, by the way.
Akosia. Oh, you are.
Yeah.
So you just made mention of Meta, Facebook,
Meta, Facebook,
Afrofuture. Who are some of your? I saw you did something with the NFL a few months back.
we did stuff with the NFL in 2022 and 2023.
Wow.
We were working with them.
Oh wow.
I don't know if you came to or heard about the fan experience that happened at Kempinski.
No.
So we did that. We built that out with them, and then the following year we did the same event in Cape Town, like 5,000 people. It was really cool. And then Kenya, we did like a talent.
So you're really on,
camp.
you're on.
Trying.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then now we help them more from there in Accra with their. They run like a flag football program in schools and stuff like that. So we.
I think I've seen that.
Run the tournaments and stuff like that.
Wow.
Oh, so you have are you partnered with the NFL? Or
they're our client basically. They pay us to execute like the NFL, the flag tournaments.
So I've seen that event as well. I've seen something basketball related.
Seed Academy, with Pops and Rachel. Yeah, that's really cool. So Pops Mensah-Bonsu runs Seed Academy, which is, does really cool things around basketball. And so we did a tour with them in March, April earlier this year. Different clients. I mean, and we get to travel. That's the most amazing thing. I mean, the one thing I set out when I said I was doing Jamja was I would love this business to allow me to travel the continent, and it absolutely has. I think I've seen like 13 countries.
Wow.
14 countries now. 11
years doing this. 11th year or 12th year, let's just say. Yeah, 12th year. Is this what you envisioned? Like,
yes and no in so many ways.
If you could.
So, I mean, in terms of the vision of like changing the way things are done, I think we definitely achieve that in a lot of ways. I think also just making our stamp as, I think a lot of people talk about us in rooms we aren't in a good way. And I think that is pretty awesome about like when they think about like if you're going to execute anything on the continent, you need to go and speak to Jamja. And that's a very cool, it constantly surprises me because I'm one of those people, I'm like, you still think that you still have so far to go. And then people or things remind you and you're like, oh, damn, I didn't even think that would come, or like, and so from that perspective, yes, I think this has surpassed what I imagined or what I could envision for it. But at the same time, there's the reality of just running a business, right? And running the business in a country that does not have entrepreneurial support. As much as our governments, every government, this is not government specific, talks about supporting entrepreneurs and pushing people to be entrepreneurs, that's all well and good. But if your systems truly do not support what it means to be an entrepreneur, then we aren't going to get anywhere. Absolutely. Right? And for me, that's our biggest thing, is that, if banks aren't lending cheaply, if you don't have access to finance as a core fundamental fact of any business, you can tell everybody to be an entrepreneur. But then
it doesn't get spoken about enough.
It doesn't. And for me, it actually really, really irritates me when it's like, oh, yeah, okay, we are lacking jobs, but everyone become an entrepreneur. First of all, not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. Some people need to be great workers, be great at your job. If you've got a good job, you don't want to be an entrepreneur, there is no shame in that. Absolutely. Be great and be a great employee. Be a great contributor to a vision or a business that you believe in. Whatever it is, you don't have to always be. Everyone always thinks, let me go and do it on my own. That's the biggest issue we have here, is that everyone thinks that they can do it on their own. But being an owner of a business, you're looking after people's lives that are working for you. Yeah. That responsibility is a different level of responsibility,
It's a different skill set.
Yeah, and it's tough. Sorry, and just to say, so in terms of answering your question of is it what I envisioned, not in terms of the toil. I always say, I think if I was in the UK or the US doing this, within 5 or 6 years, I would probably be a millionaire, right? But I'm 12 years in and I'm still here. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, we need to figure out what the next move is. Yeah. And I think it's changing, hopefully we have some plans, work out well for us. But yeah, I think that's the thing.
So the interesting thing about the work that you do is it obviously puts you dead center between a world where it's completely developed. They understand a certain way of doing business. And I think there are certain things that are universal in terms of professionalism.
Timeliness, professionalism.
I don't want to tie to any kind of culture.
100%,
right?
yeah.
And you speak also about the challenges we have locally in terms of, just not having the support system. And I am adamant about put in the information, because I think in talking about our problems, that's where we find solutions. If you're solution oriented. So as someone with 14 years under your belt, working this system, understanding it thoroughly, you've done work across, a spectrum of areas and challenges and different aspects of what just business is. Fundamentally, people listening on, what nugget can you just throw at them to say, you know what, I've done this, I've lived it. If I could walk the path again, maybe these are the potholes I'll dodge. And because I think we have a terrible culture of paying it forward as well. Yeah,
that's a great question. I think for me, it's people. People first. I think that a lot of the way I've kind of navigate through business is focusing on the people now, whether that's my clients, whether that's my staff, whether that's whoever it is that might be working for, as much as possible, is the people. The people are going to open the doors for you. The people are going to help you get there. And so if you're not investing in the people that are around you, and don't get me wrong, not everyone is there for the right reasons. So you're still going to have to deal with staffing and HR issues. That one is just part of running a business. But the way that you deal with them or the way that you engage with them is what is going to, I think, make or break your business. Because there's a lot of people who treat their staff really badly, who don't give them the support system. And I will say that the reason why, let's say like at Jam Jar, people want to work at Jam Jar or stay working at Jam Jar is the environment we create within the business. So it's sort of, and I don't want to say it was like a family. It's not. It's just that there's a level of respect.
Yes.
There's a level of, like I said, accountability. There's a level of autonomy. My thing is very much, as long as you're getting your work done, I don't really care about everything else. Just get your shit done, right? And don't take advantage. Don't undermine me. Like, don't sort of like don't steal and don't lie. Like those are my things because I will always find out.
Of course.
It may be 2 years later, but I'll find out and it's not good for you. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is always like, if you can focus on the people and building relationships, it's building relationships that has allowed me to work across the continent. And if you can change the way, because a lot of people focus on the money and they're like, I need to make the money. I agree, make the money. But if you have to step on people and ruin people's lives to make that money, and you have to like really take something out of someone's hand to make that money, you're gonna lose that money. It's not yours for, do you know what I mean? I truly believe in that, and I truly believe like as human beings, we're not put on this planet to make money. A lot of the time we lose that, like human beings don't realize that that's not why we're here. So it's like, if you just focus on that, then you kind of lose the whole point of the process. And so for me, it is very much around like the people, like focusing on making sure your clients are happy. Everyone deals with difficult clients. You have to learn a professional, respectful way to say no. Do you know what I mean? To set your boundaries, but to say that it's like a standard that we have for dealing with our clients. Staff, same thing. I'll respect you if you respect me. There's a level of boundary there, but we can be in an environment where we were. And I think once you do that, you actually realize things become a lot easier, and the level of success kind of changes because now you're leveraging relationships, right? I don't always have the money to do a project, but I have amazing relationships, so they will do it for me because the amount I've given to them too in opportunity is also huge.
Absolutely.
Right? And that is, you can't really like quantify that. That's really just more around like.
It's 100% true. And I always say that relationships.
Yeah.
This podcast has been built on relationships. Relationships. Even our guests, relationships.
Yeah,
Every
exactly.
single guest.
That's how the world works.
You know?
It is. And I think we lose that. I think everyone starts to think that, oh no, it's technology. No, it's who has the best this. But at the end of the day, like when I was in Sierra Leone, you're dealing with like a UN mission, right? Who are the people who are going to get us out of somewhere or in somewhere or do whatever safely? It's the drivers. So for me, I think having worked in like a service industry, being a waitress, bartender and stuff, the first people that I make friends with are the chefs. They feed me. The amount of food when I was a student that I used to get free from the restaurant, because I had like a great relationship with the chef and all the people. Like I used to get fed. And then, the chefs, the drivers, so people who walk around and treat those people like trash, those are the ones who, Charlie, when shit is really going down, the people who saved me, those are the people. So for me, those are the people who I'm like, look after them no matter what. I don't care. If they want food, if they want whatever, give it to them. Because when shit hits the fan, they will have your back.
Dope.
You know what I mean? So like that's how I see it a little bit. It's like, and that's my nugget that I think people don't really think about a lot.
So we had a chef on the podcast, and I asked her this. I'm going to ask you too, because you made mention that you have spent time behind. You've actually served. You've been a waitress. You know how to mix drinks, cocktails, and all that. So, if you are introducing someone to Ghana through a cocktail, a drink, and alcohol, what mix would it be, or what particular alcohol would it be?
That's a good one. So I'm a whiskey sour type of girl. So,
Charlie,
so
whiskey.
For
I know
me,
they like whiskey.
So for me, but I would, if I was introducing someone, it would very
to
much,
Ghana.
To Ghana through like a drink or something. I think it would be like it would definitely be like a palm or a sugarcane spirit type of base. It would be like a caipirinha. That's usually what that's one of my favorite drinks to make. So it would be like the sugar, the lime, and then you just literally have that straight alcohol on top of it mixed up, and then it would probably be like a palm spirit, like an aperitif, but a nice one.
Oh wow.
I would introduce them.
I was gonna say
because I feel like it summarizes Ghana.
True.
It's nice, but Charlie, you gotta watch out.
It hits.
And when Accra hits you or Ghana hits you, then you know.
And shouts to the Republic Bar and Grill. Shouts to Raja. Shouts to my guys. They have some of the dopest cocktails ever. So if you haven't been, you have to go there to check them out, Charlie.
So I'm going to ask you another abstract philosophical question.
Sure. I love them.
I tend to think about this a lot. I think what you're doing represents an important aspect of the evolution of the image of Africa. We haven't branded ourselves properly. And I've thought this for at least 25 years. I'm 42 now. Yeah. And I think what you're doing is so essential because you have to have a baseline of how to deal with the people. And that trickles down because if they come to Jam Jar and you set a certain standard and they know this is what has to be paid to the people for their professional work and they are worth it,
100%.
then it covers pretty much everybody that's, touching the continent. But do you feel that we are, this word always is a challenge for me to say, but I'm going to pronounce it properly, conscientious right, about how we are perceived and even our business philosophy. Like, there's a certain Wall Street language. There's a certain Canary Wharf language. There's a certain European approach to how to do things. Standardization, so on and so forth. But I don't see that element here. And I feel like there's not that professional pooling together industry-wise to say, look, these are our standards, this is what we do. We can't let people in that are not willing to follow these rules. Like, you buy a certain basket from the street roadside, there's no rule that is going to be the same quality as the one you got from Art Center and so on and so forth. Like, in general, what do you think can be done or should be done to position us to be able to optimize our potential? Because we have so much, like you said, we're not short of talent, we're not short of ideas. Every aspect of what, even, with what I do, I truly believe I can be transformative without the banks. And I'm working towards it to try and circumvent this lack of financing available and whatnot. But it's such a grind. Like, I feel like it's going to take 10, 15 years out of my life. And I don't even know if I will absolutely succeed. But 100%. What do you think the general philosophical approach is? Do we even have one? And what do we need to...
I think the thing is, the context is that we are 66.
Yeah,
right?
something.
What did we 67 this year, right?
Yeah, 67.
My maths is not that fast.
Same.
68. Oh, this year, right? Please, can you just cut the part so it just says we are 68?
That's him.
No, I won't. It's funny.
So that I know. So we're 68. Not that long. Yeah. We didn't have an industrial revolution. Our revolution is Momo. Like, in terms of
absolutely
technologically and stuff. So we haven't had many years where we have figured out what we are as a country, really, I think. But that's not an excuse. We also have a lot of, we also have the privilege of having a lot of information available to us in terms of how we can do things. I think you are absolutely right in the sense that we need to, I don't think we are aware enough of the value of our own. I think that's something that has grown over time. Like, the Made in Ghana thing is something that we've started to hold on to a bit more, but without really knowing what that always fully means. We just yep, Made in Ghana, as long as it's Made in Ghana, but to what standard or whatever. And I think for me, as much as the people can do as much as they can do, there is definitely a level of policy that has to be, I think what we're lacking is proper direction. I feel like everybody is just craving someone who's just yes, we'll follow you if you tell us and it makes sense, right? And if it makes sense and we're really buying into an idea that makes, because at the end of the day, what do we want? Roads, water, electricity, and we'll get on with everything else. We want systems that will work for us.
An invisible government.
And I think we also, but I don't think we are aware enough of what our business culture is. And I don't think we're proud enough of what our business culture is. I think we think that our business culture is corrupt. I think we think that our business culture is, whoever can pay the most money. I think that's what we believe, because when we're all engaging in business, sometimes that's what we experience, right? So, and then the people who are coming out from outside too, that's also what they experience. So then there's this narrative of you can't do business if that person is not getting a 20% cut, or whoever. It's like, so there's this narrative around how it is, rather than maybe claiming, like you said somewhere in the beginning, where it was like, if it's part of the infrastructure of how we do business, and it's
own it,
and it's built in a way that is sort of makes sense, then there's nothing wrong with it. It's the fact that you don't know. Like when you're building something, you don't know if someone is going to come and all of a sudden you now have to pay someone 30% because something, or someone's just going to be difficult. Like, you just don't know, right? But there's a level of knowing as well, where you know that, okay, if I know that built into this, I have to do all these things, is it going to make sense for me? It's also not outrageous, like it's business sense, then fine. But I think that's a little idealistic. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I do think there's something in at least like the structure, like attempting to decide what it means to be Ghanaians great at business. Like, are we trade people? Maybe we're not great at business. Maybe we don't know how to do business. Like, maybe we're not traders. Do you know? Like, maybe we're traders. Maybe we're not, and that's also okay. But like, we need an identity of the type of business or because I think there's a lot of like, I think in Ghana there's a lot of
maybe
like,
if companies like Jamja stick around, they become an intrinsic part of the cultural image, which answers part of the philosophical question. Is if a company stays around long enough and does business a particular way on the continent with people from the continent, then that becomes representative
100%.
of us. And I think as part of the conversation, that needs to be encouraged so much more
100%.
because people are in it for short-term gain or looking to flip something real quick. And I think what you're doing is very like inspiring.
Thank you.
For people that like us coming behind, wanting to continue on the same trajectory.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I think I think if you're truly an entrepreneur, to be an entrepreneur, then you're gonna go. But there's the one thing about being an entrepreneur is there's times where I'm like, I'm taking a job. Like, I need to take a job because this thing, I have bills to pay and I need to do something. So I think it's also not having the shame or like the thing of like, when you've got to go and take a 9-to-5 because you've got bills to pay or you need to fund the business, like, so it's not an easy run. Yeah.
Dope. So, we have been talking about Jamja through and through. And I know that you are involved in other dope things too, and I want us to enter it.
Okay.
All of them. So what other things are you doing? Either juggling both same level or on the side?
So with a company like Jamja, it's had to have a side hustle. But Palava Podcast.
Oh yeah.
Soon to be rebranded. But I started Palava Podcast 2021. 2020 or 2020. See, look, that tells you. And it was really I started Jamja 12 years ago, and I really wanted to be on CNN and BBC. I'm like, how are they not coming to cover my story? Like, me too, I'm hustling. And then I was like, no. Yeah, me too. Like, you see everyone, you think, that means you've made it, know. And then I was like, nah, screw that. Like, I'm going to start capturing those stories because, Walasi, I've known Walasi since 2011, since I started the business. I've known half the people I interview on it, I've known for the last 10 to 12 years because they all started around the same time I did. And I was like, your story isn't being told. And we have, like you said, an issue of like paying it forward, but also people thinking that they're the first. If you don't know the people who have done things before you, you can't leapfrog it, right? So I'd rather you know my story so that you're like, okay, Francis, took you 12 years, it's going to take me 6, right? Fine. But at least you know that, there was a Francis before me, or there was a Walasi, or there was a Mami Ajay, or there was a Mina Evans, or there was all these people who have done incredible things in their spaces in Ghana who have literally helped to create the industries now. Like, I know that people don't think about it, but all those people, Mina in fashion, like what she did for fashion in Ghana or contributed to the fashion scene in Ghana, like it changed things. What different people have done, what Stefania has done with El Loco.
Of course, Stefania.
Do you know what I mean? So I think there's so many people who've done so many things that is the foundation of like creative industry and creation in. When we started, there were no photographers. There were like it was not a cool thing to do. Now it's like everybody is. So I think it's really important to capture those, and that's why I started Palava Podcast. And I'm rebranding it, so we'll start releasing some new episodes, hopefully in a month or two, and rebranding it to Culture as Currency. And that ties into the conversation around the perception of the continent. And so the conversations on those are really about what we want people to know about business culture on the continent, what we want people to know about working on the continent from that perspective, from that professional side, that like, what are the nuggets we can teach people about, like, coming to work in Ghana. You need your local person. This is how you learn whether you can trust them or not. Like giving some of those insights so that like the question you asked me, how do we create that? I think we create it by talking about it. And I think by tapping into people's like on the grounds kind of experiences of that. And part of having those discussions is also because we're tying it into our business experiences that we're rolling out as well. So giving business people around the world who don't even know where to start when it comes to the continent an opportunity to come and visit for like 5 days and basically experience it through our eyes, but from a business perspective, and learn the business culture. So it's pretty cool.
Guys, before the rebranding, you guys should check out the podcast. I was supposed to work with her and she swerved.
I didn't swerve.
I was so ready to, and she swerved. So rebranding.
Yes.
I said before we started recording that I think you are so particular about things, right?
I am.
And
that it hinders
I can
my progress.
I can, and it's fine. But what does branding mean for an establishment, for a business? Because you could still continue this Palava podcast with what you have in your mind, and it could still work. But you have to rebrand. How important is a brand, ID, right? To a business?
I think it's about messaging, right? So all the great brands that you see, like they have a very clear message, right? So regardless of what other campaigns they run, what else they do, they have it's a vision, it's a focal point. So, what comes to mind is like Nike, just do it. It doesn't matter what they do, that is the center of whatever they do. So it translates really well, right? So rebranding, so yes, it might be like, and you made a really good point. I could just continue with Palava Podcast and decide that but I'm trying to send a message and a clear thing that like grounds, and I think it's more about me. I think as the creator or the creative in me, I want something that's going to allow me to like have that focal point so that I'm always coming back to that message of like, okay, from the podcast perspective and from a sub-brand of like Jamja or whatever, my message is that culture is currency. So that's my like, and I sort of had this aha moment sort of earlier this year and last year. And I was really like, that feels like something that I'm really focused on, and all my work around it just ties in really nicely. So that's why I think it's important, because I think it's about core messaging and what you're trying to say.
I mean, culture as currency, you can have Palava time on there.
Yes.
And maybe
there will be Palava.
Tackle particular issues and doesn't get rid of the brand totally.
Yeah.
I love your podcast. I've only listened to one episode, and I'm not one of those, this didn't work with the girl, but hopefully it works with you. I told some girl I love her and I was serious and she thought I was joking. Anyway, the point is that...
That just broke my heart a little bit.
The point is that she didn't believe me, so I moved on.
More about her than you.
Yeah, but the point is that I think you can listen to something once and get the essence of what is being conveyed. And I think that's what your podcast impacted on me. Like the space of discussion and talking about things that people... And that's maybe I understand Mutombo saying I can ask a 5-minute question. Truly, I've gotten to the point where I don't give a damn. I'll leave him to do the editing. But the point for me is that there are fundamental, important conversations that are not being had. And that is why maybe I'm so vocal. Like he said, when I'm in a setting and somebody asks a question, I'll delve in. Because I really believe that things are not being spoken about 100%. Enough, and we'll repeat the mistakes that have been made. I say all that to say that with the podcast, how do you manage to be someone who has to have an opinion versus Jam Jar being like a corporate kind of events brand? You have to be like concerned about what they think, how they feel. You might lose some, how do you navigate that?
So there's a bit of a balance. I am conscious about the things, certain things that I say on the podcast. Not that it limits my what I say, because I'm like you. I'll say it if you don't like it stuff. Like, I don't care that much. But I am conscious that I run a brand that people care about. And that affects not just me, it affects other people, right? So other people's lives, other people's jobs, whatever. So I have to be conscious of that. So I'm conscious there's certain topics that I might not discuss. But if there's things that I'm just generally like, well, this is my opinion and I stand by that, then I will say it. I'm not, and I don't censor on my podcast. I generally don't edit the things out. I don't censor them. I don't, cut them up and things like that, because I think, like you said, the conversation, there's things that we're really just talking about and they're not really offensive. They're opinions, they're perspectives. And I think there's the disclaimer that, those opinions are mine and not that of the company, which I probably need to put on the podcast. but I think it's it's a fine line. It's one that I'm aware of, but it's not something that censors me. Like, because I think I realized, I think I said this when we were off, like, one of the other reasons I started the podcast was because I was like, oh, I can channel this talking a lot into something that is good and not just talk a lot for the sake of, because I'm like you. If there's an opinion, me too, my voice will be heard. I think it's also about how do I channel that so that it impacts people in a really positive way. And the feedback that I get on the podcast, and although I haven't posted for about a year, which is terrible, is that people really love it and they love the conversation and they love how the conversation goes. And for me, it's just to give people their space and and everybody loves to talk about themselves. So why not give them the space too?
I mean, people find it condescending when you say this, but I think we need a social filter. Everybody cannot speak. Everybody cannot have a voice because there are a lot of stupid opinions and they are uninformed and they are uneducated and they are disseminating so many things and people are gravitating towards them.
Perception.
And I love that people have the freedom to express themselves. But I think that the social conscience has to be governed by our artists. Mutombo just put out a record on his birthday. It's called Never Do It. And I think it's such an important... I'm not saying it because he's my co-host. I'm not saying it because he's my friend. I listen to it consistently and I'm like, okay, somebody in the media, in entertainment, needs to be promoting this, not him. He shouldn't be kissing ass to help. He's done the work. Who is going to disseminate this information and let younger people hear the voice of a seasoned poet who is writing from the innermost core of his being through his experiences? That cannot be poo-pooed away. So I'll keep talking. Unless they come and take the microphone.
I hear you.
That's
and just to end, like, just before we end, is like, in a village, not everybody talks.
Yes.
Some people are the healers. Some people are the ones who pray. Some people are the ones who talk. Some people are the ones who listen. Some people, like, everybody has a role. And I think if you start to look at your friends group or your group of people around you, you start to notice that everybody has a different role. So sometimes you have to be the one in the group that speaks because you're the one who's speaking up for everyone, right? And because there's other people whose voice they may not hear, unless you say it, so it's one of these things. So.
Gotta keep the balance, man.
Yeah,
Me, I finish.
You okay?
Yeah,
okay.
I just want to give her a compliment before we go.
Okay, yeah. Me, maybe two more questions. Have you? This is just a thought that hit me at the beginning. Jam Jar, like, based on who you are working with, maybe you have like tiers, right? Maybe like they do gold, silver, depending on the money that they bring in to you.
Your kabari is not enough.
Depending, like, you have a silver client because the cap is like 10K. And then at the end, you will give them jam in a jar, but the color determines the tier. Oh, you brought $1 million. So for people who bring $1 million, you get pink. Yes, exactly. So pink means, you are a gold
I've not
customer.
thought about that. Maybe.
Right? Yeah.
Maybe when the millions start landing, then I'll start giving out jam.
We need it, man.
And it just hit me. And imagine it becomes a thing. When you work with Jam Jar, according to your tier, they give you a jam, and it becomes a staple.
I love that.
Like they don't eat it. It's
like
in
a
their
trophy.
office, like from Jam Jar, engraved.
that.
You know, like
We'll start doing
That's-
that.
that's
awards,
fantastic branding.
Awards for our clients.
yeah.
Thank
jam.
you for being a great client.
Yeah. Here's your jam.
Here's your jam. I
love
wanted
it.
to make some jam for people, like at Christmas. Do the
Yeah.
like jam jar Christmas. We did one. I think we wanted at our events. We used to do candles in jam jars,
Yeah.
so that like it was our
Yeah.
brand, like that kind of branding. But
Yeah.
great idea. I'll do that.
I really like judo a whole lot. I was doing some work with Coco Lounge, Urban Grill.
Yeah.
some
When we
years
were
ago.
doing Alt Carbon, that was another.
Yeah.
That one. That's another story for
Wow,
another
you've done
day.
stuff.
I've
You've done
stuff.
Crazy.
Alt Carbon is the reason why Amapiano is playing in a car.
Yeah.
Let's just make a
Crazy. True.
comment.
Alt Carbon was a club.
No, we took over Carbon
yeah,
in 2021.
Yeah.
Basically, they were, Carbon had kind of died, so we're trying to activate it.
Now
So-
it's fully dead.
So on Saturdays, we were doing an event called Alt Carbon.
It was so
Okay.
fun.
And it was just like,
Different.
it was basically no Afro beats. It was basically house music and
Yeah.
Afro house.
Oh.
And so we had Pizarro. We literally
Yeah.
found Pizarro working with Benji and said,
Wow.
Pizarro, would you come DJ with us? And he was like, yeah. So he started DJing with us. And then after All Carbon, everybody booked Pizarro.
Wow. You've done stuff.
Yeah, we've done a lot of stuff.
Crazy.
You gotta
Low
say
key in the
it,
background. Yeah, but you know.
Because you see, we
But
don't
the
have a
people
magazine.
know. But we know
don't
that. But the people know. So like Pizarro, bless him. Every time he's DJing, he's always like shout out to fans. Like Pizarro always shouts us out, and I love Pizarro for it. It's like Vim. I've been working with Vim since Roof on Fire.
Vim DJ. Oh,
Vim was my
wow.
DJ from Roof on Fire 2012.
That's crazy.
2013. Like
Shouts to
I've
Vim
known
tunes.
Vim like. Vim and I have been through it.
Yeah,
So
wow.
most of the the mass DJ, she used to DJ at Alt Carbon, like
Yeah.
so many of the DJs that we worked with that I'm so happy to see them grow and have had the opportunities. And a lot of the time because of some of the things we put together. But like, yeah, it's really dope. Like Pizarro, I'm just so happy for Pizarro.
I mean, you are calm, but you are poised, like you are fierce.
Fire.
But fire.
Fire
You are
behind
very,
this
very
thing.
smart. Fred, what did I tell you
Yeah.
in the text?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what did I mention? Oh,
The
yeah.
moment he said you're intelligent, I knew I didn't have.
No, I didn't
worry
use the word. I said
much.
smart.
Smart, yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
To me personally.
Yeah.
I didn't have to research too much. I'm like, intelligent people, they'll find themselves.
Yeah.
They need to find themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You have been dealing with people from Jump.
Yeah.
We can say from Jump.
Yeah.
But about on your podcast, what one thing have you learned from the people that you have had on the podcast, or the people that you've spoken to on the podcast? Like, is there something that links
I think what it is not necessarily a thing. I think it's like listening. I think like just being in a position to listen to people is I think that's a really cool lesson or opportunity to have. Like, sitting and listening and talking, because it's very easy to talk, but sometimes just listening to people, listening to their stories, listening to where people have come from. Like everybody that I've had on the podcast, their story has been something that I've just been so excited to want them to share, if you know what I mean. And so I think for me, the podcast really taught me about like, I knew before, but just the importance of listening and like hearing people's stories and taking the time to give people their space to like tell their stories.
Do you remember any story that blew you away, or that brought you a certain emotion?
So I think there's a couple. I think my first episode is with Arese Ogu, who is the smart money woman. She writes financial literacy for women
I would have to look
in
her up.
Nigeria. She's amazing. Shout out to Arese. She basically has bootstrapped the filming of her show on Netflix. It was on Netflix, and then but she basically bootstrapped the whole production of that show.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember her telling me about like her being on set, and they were about to film, and then the club caught on fire, and this is Nigeria, so you think Ghana, and all kinds of things happen.
I think I saw that. I listened to that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It blew my mind just because I was just like, what we do as an entrepreneurs for our vision to come to life.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like what you go through for your vision to come to life. Like there's a club on
literally
fire.
went through the fire.
Yeah. So the episode is called Fighting Fire with Arese because it's like literally the process of going through that sort of thing to get your vision to happen is epic. Yeah. And I think the other one is I think speaking to Walasi. I mean, just that whole conversation. Okay. When you
shout
and Isaac, Afroscope.
Afroscope. Shout Afroscope.
Isaac has part of my heart. That conversation is really deep, and it's just the artists, the creativity, the people we have around us. I think I'm just blown away by them because they're such true artists in their craft. Like people like Walasi, people like Isaac, who are stubborn about what they do, who really stick to. They're not doing it because it's like money, fame. It's like it comes out of them, you know. And
Isaac is
really cool.
is one guy that I've always.
Isaac, he does like digital art. But he's one of the ones like before everyone started doing. What do they call it now? Afrofuturism.
Futurism, yeah. He was doing it. He's been doing it.
He is like
and like Francis said, very, very stubborn.
And very quick. And he won't just do it because of the sake of doing it.
And when you see him, you want to calm, soft spoken. Like
Isaac is so dope.
Very, very dope. Shout out Isaac.
I love that.
He actually messaged me on my birthday out of the blue. Like
we should get him on the podcast.
You should. He's an incredible person to speak to.
Shouts. Dope. Show Chai Jamja GH, right?
Yeah,
on Instagram and everywhere. I'm sure when you go, you find tons of info. And Charlie, Fred.
Miss Francis. Mrs. Right?
Well, Mrs. Fine.
Francis is fine. But I think that I didn't know what to expect, but I was excited. I was looking forward to you being here because just what is available about you online is vital for the culture. I think you and Mutombo touched on something that I wanted to ask a question about, but I escaped me, so I'm not going to go into it. But you said there was a time in which you guys were doing a lot, around 2011, where everybody was starting thinking that's like part diaspora and energy, people who had moved back.
Yeah,
returnees. And then the people that were here who were already building stuff like the Mutombos. And, you know, you build something that is foundational to what we are seeing as the evolution and the revolution of the way things are done. The business culture is changing, whether we want to admit it or not. It is changing slowly. The Ghanaian consumer is becoming more sophisticated.
Yep, that's
and
true.
they are knowing how to be more selective about what they get, why they get it, and where their money goes.
Yeah.
And I think that the role that you're playing in all of it is so fundamental and vital to the progress of it all. So I wish you nothing but the best. I pray that your stuff, the universe guides and takes you where you need to go. And thanks for coming to spend time with us.
Thank you.
I had a
guys
wonderful
for having
time.
me.
Yeah, it was a great.
It has been.
This has been epic.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Very dope. Very dope.
By the way, I think this is like this is the first podcast that I have been interviewed.
Oh really?
Oh really? Booyaka!
West side.
So thanks, guys.
We love
Charlie.
that.
Thanks for coming through, Charlie. Charlie, guys. Yeah, Charlie. I have experienced Jamja over the years. You know, the podcast too. Her podcast so sad it went on a break, but good to hear that it's coming back. I have experienced the podcast, and I've also experienced this amazing human being. You know, over the years, very, very, smart, calm, but Charlie, don't mess up. Yeah, Charlie.
Fire.
Francis, we thank you for coming through the podcast, and I mean, we are looking forward to come onto yours too.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, we really want
I'll send you the link so you can book time.
And also, the links to Jamja, but I mean links, Jamja, you just Google, no, it's
find it.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's a big thing.
Major.
It's major. And Chai, Fred, the crew, Atunwa Digital, all those who are telling people to check out the podcast and supporting us in one way or the other. It's been another dope episode. Follow us. Do something for us. Send us coins. Yeah, Charlie. The If More, Let's Divide podcast. Fred,
Booyaka.
we are through. This was good.
Dope.
Charlie. Dope.
Actually, I'm supposed to have a haircut.
Crazy, eh?
4:30.